Welcome. The purpose of this video is to share some information about the Lockwood Schools 2017 General Fund Levy. First, here's some information about school funding in Montana. There are two components that make up the base budget. The first is basic entitlement. This number is based on the number on schools, and you get one payment per level regardless of the number of actual schools in your district. This payment greatly benefits smaller districts. All other funding mechanisms are based on student enrollment, or the average number belonging, or A and B as it's commonly referred to. The first of these is incremental basic entitlement. This was added a few years ago. It's based on your enrollment if you exceed certain thresholds. In the elementary school, 250 students, 7th and 8th grade, 450 students, and high schools, 800 plus students. Because of our size, we get over twice the elementary entitlement we previously did. For 7th and 8th grade and high school programs, this really only benefits the larger AA districts. This part of the basic entitlement greatly benefits larger districts. Additionally, we get per student funding, about $5,348 per student in grade levels K through 6, and just shy of $7,000 in grades 7 through 12. You combined all these numbers and some other items that are driven by enrollment to combine them into a formula that factors into the maximum budget. This is the most money that a district can ask for. 80% of that max is referred to as the base budget. This is a budget that's guaranteed. Any difference between that 80% and the 100% budget has to be approved by voters. The gray area on the right represents the area that has to be voted by local voters in order to increase a district's budget beyond the base level. The fact that so much of the budget is driven by enrollment is the reason why we are asking for more money from our taxpayers this year. Here's an example of our enrollment over the past several years. This bump here, we believe, was due to the Bakken. We've leveled out here to where we were just above where we were at previous years. And then last year, our kindergarten class was about 25 students less than expected. So you can see a great decrease here in enrollment, which equates to a decrease in our budgeting authority. One common misconception about school funding is that if an area is growing, like Lockwood is, that the schools automatically receive more money because of the increase in the taxable value. This is not true. As we said before, any levied amount above the base budget must be approved by voters. What the increase in the taxable value really does is it decreases each taxpayer's individual contribution to the school funding. Now, obviously, we understand that people's taxes have been going up, but we're talking about just the school portion of your tax bill. This graph demonstrates that growth in taxable value over the past 10 years. The percentage of growth is about 3.5% per year. This little dip here in financial year 14 and 15 was when the state readjusted how they were assessing some of the taxable values. So we took a little bit of a dip, but it's completely recovered from then. This graph shows how individual taxpayers' levies milled have decreased over the past several years, almost by 55 mills from a peak in financial year 08 to where they are this year. This also shows where our taxes would be next year with the maximum if this levy were to pass. So as you can see, if this levy passes, as an individual taxpayer for what goes to the school, you'd actually be paying less than what you did just 2 years ago and much less than you did a decade ago. With this levy, we will discuss the general fund. The general fund is where the maximum part of our budget comes into play. It's what we use for teaching supplies, as well as 90% of it is basically our salaries and benefits. We are in a service industry, and the vast majority of our budget goes to personnel costs. This is a graph similar to the previous one, talking about an individual taxpayer's contributions to our general fund. As you can see, we are well below where we've ever been. Anywhere along this line The trend is definitely downward. And if we are able to pass this levy, it would at a maximum put us at about 103 mills going to the general fund, which again is still a lot less than we were paying, 40 less than we were about 12 years ago. You may ask how we've been able to keep these costs down for the individual taxpayers. We take a lot of pride in being good stewards in your tax dollars. Since 2010, our general fund, the local property tax portion of our general fund, has only increased by $109,000. That's about 1.4% of our overall general fund. During that time, we've also been able to maximize our reserves by being good stewards of an increase of over $600,000 from 2010. To put that in perspective, our health insurance rates have increased by 38% over that same time period, a 7 to 10.5% increase per year. Now keep in mind that 20% of our general fund is spent on benefits and 90% is spent on benefits and salaries. You can see how we've been able to make adjustments and take on most of those costs without passing it on to you as the taxpayer. A lot of people sometimes are confused about how much of their tax dollar actually goes to the school districts. Now, keep in mind, this is for someone not in the sewer district. That area it really confuses these numbers as you take a look at that. So we've chose not to put that in this just for the sake of simplicity. So for every dollar you pay in taxes outside of the sewer district, 24 cents goes to the county, 22 cents goes to Lockwood Fire District, 14 cents goes to the state for education, 9 cents goes to Billings School District 2 for high school, 7 cents goes to the county for retirement and transportation, less than 1 cent goes to Big Sky Economic Development Authority, and only 23 cents comes directly to Lockwood schools. Of that 23 cents, less than 1 cent goes to adult education, providing night classes and those sort of things. Less than 1 cent goes to the building reserve. This was a levy that we passed about 3 years ago that helps us maintain our buildings. About 1 cent goes to tuition, which pays for students that need to attend school off of our campus at the Yellowstone Boys and Girls Ranch, New Day, those type of programs. 1 cent goes to technology. Again, this is a levy that was passed a while back to provide our students with resources in the classroom. About 2 cents goes to transportation, busing students to and from school. 7 cents goes to debt service, which is the bond on our middle school gym, which, by the way, we just saved our taxpayers about $1 million on last year by refinancing those bonds. 11 cents out of each tax dollar that you pay, not counting the sewer district, goes to our general fund, which pays for our staffing, our educational materials, equipment, some of our maintenance, utilities, and supplies. If you are in the sewer district, these numbers actually decrease. So for every dollar you pay, the general fund of the school district gets even less than that 11 cents. Again, one of the goals of our superintendent and our board is to be good stewards of your money. Here's an example of what kind of value you get at Lockwood schools. This is comparing what we spend per student to those of similar sized elementary school districts and all schools statewide. About a 10% savings from what is spent at the state level. This graph depicts what people in the different county school districts spend on education. The gray in the ranking here is what goes to education. The red is your overall tax bill. You take a look here, Lockwood is right in the middle, actually a little bit towards the lower end. Elysian is kind of an outlier. A smaller school district, they actually have quite a bit of taxable value, so the impact on the local taxpayers is pretty small. But as you can see there, we are no means outside of the average, and we like to believe that we give you very good value for your dollar. Thank you for your time in listening to this. We truly hope that you will support our students in this levy. If you have any questions, please contact Superintendent Tobin Nuvejo or District Clerk Lori Noonkester. We would be happy to answer any questions that you may have or give you more in-depth explanations of the items in this PowerPoint. Thank you.